Snoop Dogg, the dogfather of West Coast hip-hop, has just taken center stage again, this time not with a new album or cannabis venture, but with a courtroom showdown that's quietly ended in his favor. From copyright claims over his 2022 album BODR to a confidential settlement this April and recent dismissal filings this June, here's the inside scoop on the drama that played out and how Snoop flipped the narrative. The Genesis BODR and backing track allegations. It all began last summer when veteran producer and drummer Trevor Lawrence Jr., who's worked with big names like Bruno Mars, Alicia Keys, and Ed Sheeran, sued Snoop Dogg, Death Row Records, and their blockchain partner, Gala Music, for copyright infringement. The dispute was over 2 tracks from Snoop's 2022 album BODR, Pop Pop, and Get This Dick, which Lawrence said were based on beats he had created years earlier in 2010 and also officially registered them. In November 2020, he shared them with Snoop's team for possible collaboration, making it clear they couldn't be used commercially without a proper license. According to him, in January 2022, Snoop's camp called to discuss using the beats, and he asked for a $10,000 advance plus 50% ownership and publishing rights. He says they verbally agreed, but no written contract was finalized. Then on February 11th, 2022, the album dropped with both tracks included. Lawrence says he never received a signed deal or payment. Things escalated when he found out the songs were also sold as NFTs by Gala Music in stash boxes, which reportedly made tens of millions without his permission or compensation. His lawsuit accused them of copyright infringement and demanded damages, an injunction to stop further use, and a return of profits made from his work. The case drew major attention because it involved Snoop Dogg, NFTs, and a respected producer, raising questions about licensing in today's digital and Web3 music world. Snoop's defense: fee paid, no further claims. After all those allegations, Snoop Dogg couldn't just sit back and stay silent. He hit back with a huge bombshell in court. In December, his legal team hit back with a detailed defense. They said Trevor Lawrence Jr. had already been paid a $20,000 producer fee before BODR came out, and not only did he get the check, he cashed it. To them, that meant he had accepted the deal. They argued this wasn't just a random payment, it was a full advance for his work, and from then on, he'd only get standard producer royalties, which would be reduced by the advance he'd already received. They also pointed out that in late 2021, Lawrence and Snoop's team were working on a draft licensing agreement, negotiating things like royalty splits and publishing rights. Even though a final contract wasn't signed, Snoop's lawyers said this showed they were negotiating in good faith and that Lawrence was part of those talks. But after he cashed the check, they claim he changed his mind and wanted more. In their court filing, Snoop's team didn't just disagree with how much Lawrence was asking for. They said his demand for millions was ridiculous and went way beyond what's normal in the music industry. They argued that if he thought he deserved more, he should have negotiated it before cashing the check or asked for extra payment in writing. Basically, Snoop's lawyers framed the whole thing as a simple accounting issue, not a lawsuit. They said Lawrence was paid, his royalties would come as usual, and the advance would count against those royalties. There was no shady business going on, just a standard producer deal. In their view, Lawrence's lawsuit was just an attempt to cash in on the NFT buzz and get more money than what was agreed in the first place. Mediation and settlement, a quiet resolution. But despite all this back and forth, by early 2025, things took a different turn. After months of legal filings and with a September trial approaching, both sides quietly shifted toward resolution. In April, Snoop Dogg and Trevor Lawrence Jr. entered confidential mediation and reached a private settlement that kept them out of court. Then on June 24, 2025, they filed a joint motion to dismiss the case, officially ending the dispute. Court filings showed that each side agreed to cover their own legal fees, hinting there was no major payout or ongoing royalty deal involved. Trevor Lawrence Jr.'s lawyer simply said, "Our client is happy to have resolved the dispute," while declining to share financial details. Reports from outlets like Vice and Hot New Hip Hop noted this outcome was the result of successful mediation, strategically timed to avoid the public drama of a September trial. In the end, both Snoop and Lawrence walked away without any major reputational damage, And the music industry got another reminder of how powerful and private mediation can be in settling creative disputes. Why this matters: IP, NFTs, and artist rights. This case highlights a crucial issue in today's music world: the blurred line between informal studio experiments and formal, enforceable agreements. As NFTs and digital sales gain momentum, it's even more critical for artists and producers to have clear, written agreements even on informal beats. The message is clear: letters of agreement, producer deals, and release forms are non-negotiable. Even legends like Snoop face potential legal headaches if paperwork isn't handled properly. What comes next for Snoop? Now that the lawsuit has been officially dismissed, Snoop can finally shift his full focus back to his ambitious plans. He's working on reviving Death Row Records and signing new artists under its banner. At the same time, he's continuing to push the promotional efforts for BODR, keeping the album's momentum alive. Beyond music, Snoop is also expanding his cannabis brand, Leafs by Snoop, especially in Europe, where the market is opening up fast. He's diving deeper into NFT and tech ventures too, exploring new ways to blend entertainment and digital innovation. On top of all that, he's busy working on his upcoming biopic and continuing his role as a coach on The Voice. This legal closure frees him up to invest more energy in his creative and entrepreneurial endeavors without any lingering court clouds. Legacy and public perception. Snoop handled the legal storm with his usual calm. While many public figures go on the defensive or speak out publicly when they're sued, Snoop stayed quiet until everything was settled. The joint dismissal of the case makes it look like a mutual resolution rather than a clear win for either side. Because there was no messy courtroom drama or aggressive diss tracks in response, Snoop's polished brand image stayed intact. His relationships with collaborators remain smooth, and his upcoming projects won't be weighed down by public legal battles. For creators, there are important lessons here. Always document your collaborations, no matter how casual they seem. Make sure licensing terms are clear from the start, especially if there's a chance your work will go public or digital. When possible, settle disputes privately to avoid unnecessary spectacle. Protecting your legacy often means handling issues quietly rather than letting them turn into public spats. In the end, Snoop Dogg's BODR lawsuit is a reminder of how modern artists must protect themselves. What started as a high-profile clash over copyright ended in a quick, confidential settlement, with both sides walking away without lasting damage. For Snoop, it's another win checked off his list. For every creator out there, it's proof that in the music world, memories fade, but paperwork never does.